Welcome, everyone, to this edition of ConnectWise TV. My name is Janine Edwards, and I am the director of the ConnectWise platform here. And I'm going to say a quick hello and introduce quickly our guests for the day. We have Storage Guardian with us, and we have both Dave Minns, a solutions engineer at Storage Guardian, as well as Alan Weiss, who is in charge of marketing communications at Storage Guardian. Gentlemen, please say hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. We're so glad to have you. And before we kind of move forward, we always like to do a little housekeeping. Folks, this is a great session. We love interaction. We have a couple of poll questions we'll be putting up. It helps us sort of steer the dynamic of the conversation. In addition, we are watching questions live. And if questions come up about that doesn't detract too much from where the conversation's going, I'll interject them for Alan and Dave. Additionally, we'll stay on after the hour if we didn't get to your question and roll through those questions very quickly. So let's get started. What a great category of conversation, the ever important backup and recovery category. And I think when I think about this category, I think we think, think about how pervasive it became a few years back, and how as soon as security of data became evergreen, so did the need to make sure that ensure that you had a fantastic solution for not only your organization as from an uptime perspective, and only for your customers, right? Keeping their data secure. And what we see is over the course of time, we want to make sure that that as the category itself gets a little more crowded, right, with a lot of folks with interesting things to say as it relates to technology in this space, that you're evaluating the right kind of vendors, right? So obviously, first and foremost, that's important to us is folks that understand the importance of ConnectWise to your organization and integrating with ConnectWise, and also from an innovation perspective. So we are super psyched to have Storage Guardian on with us today. They're going to take us through sort of overall, how their solution is differentiated from some of the other players out in the field, and also how cool the actual integration is with ConnectWise. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Alan, who's going to take us through the first part of the session. And go ahead, Alan, it's all you.
Thanks very much, Janine. First of all, it's a pleasure definitely to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to your valued customers. You know, this presentation is really all about how, when you put ConnectWise and Storage Guardian together, you can make money. And really, who in their right mind doesn't want to make more money? But before we get going, I'd like to just have a quick question to ask. And I don't know if you're going to be putting it up on the screen, but
Yep.
Is cloud backup and recovery a key service that your people already offer, your customers already offer?
Yeah. So we're watching the actual poll live here. It looks like a majority of the folks are saying yes, they absolutely currently offer it. A couple of folks are not yet, never offered. But it looks like a majority of the folks are saying absolutely. Some say, a couple of folks saying offered in the past, no longer one of our key services. So interesting mix. But resoundingly, the majority are saying yes. Yes, Alan.
Excellent work.
So I think before you go on, another, in getting prepared for the session, I talked to several of our partners that make up our advisory council, et cetera. And as I was kind of talking them through, like, what has this become sort of a checkbox as it relates to like the things that you offer for your customers? How are you what's the value proposition? How are you including it in your your services today? And how do you evaluate your vendors that you go to market with? And it was kind of all over the place. So I kind of wanted to get a sense as we go through the conversation here. What is it, and when you're dealing with such a very mission critical piece of your business and for an important thing for your customers, how do you evaluate backup and recovery vendors in the space? What are the things that are most important to you? So let's put like a follow-up question here. Is it cost? Is it profitability potential? Is it innovative technology? Is it safety and security of the data? Is it the integration to ConnectWise? Is it compliance or certification issues? So looks like we have a mix here, Alan, of cost, as we predicted, right, would be pretty important, right, as well as safety and security of the data. So those are some of the two top things that are hitting on the poll. So that's an interesting sort of bit of information about the folks on the line as you're headed through this conversation. Great job, guys.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. I can't say I'm terribly surprised, but But anyways, we'll continue on, and we'll get into those types of conversations a little bit later in the presentation. But for now, the integral question, speaking of questions, is when discussing data backup and protection, on behalf of customers, the first question that I believe you must ask yourself is, what is your customer's data worth? I mean, it's a fairly simple question, but I mean in terms of both the customer's business itself as well as your businesses as their valued and trusted providers. So like to your customer, it's everything, and in many cases, it's actually the lifeblood of the business. But to you, it also carries significant value in terms of revenue. How much does one lost customer cost your business because of one failed backup? And actually, one failed backup is sometimes all it takes for a customer not to feel comfortable with you anymore and to move on. We all know it takes years and years to build and earn trust, and 5 seconds to lose it forever. So, that's something that you always want to have in the back of your mind. And with that in mind, we ask you, what if we could alert you and your customer of any minor issues before they actually turned into a crisis? I mean, what value would that have to you? So, before we get into the nitty-gritty of diving deeper into the solution, it's important to give you an understanding of what the bottom line is. At its core, by providing proactive monitoring, you are delivering a high standard of customer service. But it's also a true value add that enables you to reasonably charge a premium for. And the ROI is typically realized quietly every day when there's no issues at hand, but it's clearly evident more so when an error that threatens to become a crisis is actually mitigated. That's when you look at yourself and you say, wow, thank God we were doing this. So this service ultimately enables you to, save customers time, energy, sometimes heart failure, and all of the other exorbitant monetary costs that's associated with disaster recovery while you still earn money. So in the immortal words of Benjamin Franklin, an ounce of prevention in this case is definitely worth a pound of cure. So, what's in it for you? Well, this is virtually a no-touch solution that has a recurring revenue stream and built-in growth, which is very important to understand. The typical average annual compound growth of data is around 6%, give or take, and typically no requirement for additional overhead to sustain that, so that's important to understand. It's also an easy organic opportunity, which gives you another good reason to contact your existing customers and another valuable offering in your suite of professional IT services if you don't already sell backup and restore services. And actually, most of you, currently identified that you do, but for those who don't, this is an opportunity to gain more customers very simply and very easily. And of course, it's another means by which you can solidify your customer relationships right now, and more importantly, make yourselves more indispensable. And it's just, sometimes it'll be the difference between getting the contract or not getting the contract. So, in essence, this gives you an opportunity to be the hero and get paid for it.
Look at that little ConnectWise superhero guy. So cute.
Yeah, well, it just seemed to fit the bill. So let's get into a little bit more about us. So who is Storage Guardian? We are a premier cloud service provider since the days of Y2K, actually. So we've been around a long time, and we know this space quite well. Our flagship service is cloud backup and restore services, but we also provide disaster recovery and others. We have an international footprint of end users and a network of somewhere over 300 VARs and resellers all over North America and in other parts of the world. But we believe our low cost of entry and multiple offerings at different price points positions us strategically to service the entire global SMB marketplace, which we feel is, that's exactly where we feel that we need to be. So with that, I'm going to pass things over to my colleague and friend Dave Minns, who will dive a little bit deeper into the ConnectWise and Storage Guardian integration path. Take it away, Dave.
Thanks, Alan. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to talk about our integration we did do with ConnectWise, how we approached it, why we approached it in the particular way, and actually do a quick review of one of our softwares we do offer, because the majority of you do offer backup and restore services. I probably will skim over that. I don't want to bore you with something that's well known. So we began with ConnectWise back in 2010. We had reviewed many different PSA organizations, but selected ConnectWise for several reasons. One, they offered a cloud as well as a on-premise model, which was very useful for us. We chose the cloud model because it was the way we go to business anyways. We're a cloud service as well, so it fit our requirements. But definitely this integration I'm going to talk about does work with the on-premise solution. The next thing we looked at and we evaluated was the testing and development tools that each of the PSA vendors out there offered, and we found ConnectWise just had the best out there. And that was very useful. We were, in effect, new to this. My programmer that worked with me, we had to go through many steps, and we found the documentation and the information provided by ConnectWise so heads up over the other guys, and that was very important.
Oh, Dave, your check's in the mail, my friend. Your check is in the mail.
Oh, okay. I get a commercial. The other great part, of course, was the choice of the APIs available to us. Very well-rounded suite of APIs available for importing data, exporting data, and that was important to us as well. And as I say, the communications method. One of the reasons we chose ConnectWise was, and I'll show you later in the slides, is the fact that by using email push notification, we were utilizing email. Everybody's comfortable in receiving emails, but as well as we were utilizing ConnectWise for its audit capability. As we push emails out to each of our resellers about each of their clients, we have an audit log of our activity with them. And with many of our products and clients, we are dealing with daily emails to say, here's the status of your backup. And it was this whole proactive monitoring that was very important to us. And with the communications capabilities with ConnectWise, it satisfied the need we had of audit trail, consistent email push out, and the ability, of course, for our clients then to reply to us if they didn't like the messages we were sending. So we developed with ConnectWise and the APIs. We started out initially with an invoicing type model to determine the type of information that we can import, how to bring it into ConnectWise, and we worked upon that, and we still continue to use that solution. The one I'm going to talk about today, though, is our real-time monitoring email notification system, whereby we use 6 different ticket system options to produce reports out to our resellers about their client base. And underway right now, we haven't stopped with this. We are now developing some inputs into the ticket system from SQL databases, whereby the accumulating data that is appearing in SQL, we're extracting it and putting it out and pushing it into the ConnectWise system and thus out to the individual resellers about their clients. So I'm going to talk quickly about our solution offerings. I'm going to again do a commercial for Storage Guardian. We actually have a good breadth of solution. We offer from a budget-conscious type solution for individuals, resellers who want something inexpensive and they can make good, strong dollars on, profit, to a full-featured software that lets us deal with legacy systems, the future environments out there such as VMware, Hyper-V, XenSurfer. We deal with the different operating systems, Linux, Mac, the new Windows from their newest release, and back to, I know we just dropped XP in the world. I just saw my ConnectWise notification that we've lost XP. but that's great. We don't like it either. We've moved on. So, but the key thing you're going to find about Storage Guardian, and we'd love to answer any questions you have about this, is we have a very unique model on how we go to business with you as resellers. We have one price, and it covers everything from service levels, support, the software licensing. What we quote you on is the price per gigabyte for the volume of data you put on our data center at the end of each calendar month. And Storage Guardian really is a data center with a multi-petabytes of storage that we have built up over our 15 years of existence with our dual SAS or SSAE 16 certified data centers. So we know how to deal with all the different requirements of data centers and storing and protecting individuals' data. Alan will talk probably some more to that pricing. I'm actually going to talk to you about our budget product, and I'll show you a price there that we offer the market. But the key thing to remember is we have no hidden costs. We have one cost for our services. Now I say that we have our budget cost and we'll have our full featured cost, but it's only one cost that you're aware of. We don't give you all these extra numbers and all, oh, by the way, if you need to do this, that's an extra cost here or there. So we want you to take advantage of that. So I'm going to walk you through our budget backup software because most of you do back up. Real quick, this slide indicates, by the way, our backup software can also handle the Dropboxes, the Box, the SkyDrives of Microsoft. You can be backing that up. And one of the key messages I want to get across there is the use of Dropbox. I'll just speak to Dropbox at the moment. Great system. You can put your data up there, but you're dependent on their service. And if they go down or they have a denial of service attack and they're down for several hours, your digital assets perhaps are not accessible to you. So by using our backup service, you can also back that up. And if you need to get to your data because the other guys are down, you have an ability to restore that data, recover it wherever on your system and have access to it again. And that's a key thing that people forget about when using those other services. You're at their mercy of their service level agreement and their priority of where you stack in their list. If you're at the bottom of the list, you might have to wait a long time before you get going. Pointing out here our pricing, this is our budget price. This is our current offering. You can actually receive a terabyte of storage from us for $50 a month, and you just turn around and you divvy up that terabyte amongst all your different users. So it's a great product. That works out to, if we take that terabyte 50, that's like 4.89 cents a gigabyte. Very inexpensive. And as I said, you can take these installs and or the terabyte and spread it across a multitude of installs. We give you the software to license this out. You don't even have to bother us to ask for these licenses. You go to our web portal, you create a license, you distribute it out to your client, install the software, and you're up and running, and you have a known fixed cost of, it's either $50 or 4.89 cents. You know how to price that out and how to make money. Now, one of the features in this software, but in all our software, and this is becoming very common now, is the ability to back up both locally as well as off-site with one backup set. None of this having to create a backup set for local and then another backup set for off-site. With our software, you can do it once, and it performs both functions at the same time.
So, Dave,
Now,
a question came in on this. I just want to make sure that I think you answered it right here from our friend Bart. He wanted to know if you could replicate to an off-site server at their location rather than the Storage Guardian data vault. It sounds like you're saying yes.
If you use the local feature and it's across your LAN WAN, the local feature can write it to that destination. Yes, definitely.
Great. Okay.
But when we use our off-site component, it comes to our data center, data centers. We have two of them, of course. And that's where that offsite will reside. But definitely, we can work with you on how to configure that to your your destination data center as well.
Okay, so Bart, hopefully that answered your question. And then one more question on this very topic. Joanna, can you expand that one for me? Are they able to back up some things locally only and other things to the cloud, like decide what they want to back up locally versus just to the cloud?
Excellent question. Yes, you can create a backup set that's local only, and we even have continuous data protection options where they're constantly writing it locally, so you're minutes to seconds behind what the production is producing. We're backing it up. And then what we recommend in our implementation, and again, it's just guidance, is at the end of the day, you do that final local backup as well as that final off-site one. So your off-site might be every 24 hours at worst case if disaster strikes, whereas your on-premise one or your local one can be a matter of seconds behind what the production systems are producing. And that's important when disaster should strike, getting your machines back up and having as minimal time as possible to perhaps do a couple extra keystrokes that says, yeah, we were 5 seconds behind, somebody was keystroking at the time of disaster. That's all they'd have to do once the file is recovered, get that little bit of information back in, and then they're back in sync and they're up and running. So really stress continuous data protection use, and that is a strong feature in our software, and I hope a lot of people practice that. If not, I'd love to talk about it and show you how to put it into practice. Now, this budget software is designed for both Windows desktops, the operating systems in Windows. We support Vista, version 7, version 8, 8.1. MacBooks, we do the latest 10.6 up to the latest Maverick. The key thing is, back to that pricing, it's 4.89 cents or less than 5 cents. It's easy for you to create a 200 to 400% margin on this. I mean, everybody goes to market differently. Many of you will bundle this in with your other managed services that you offer, but it's a great moneymaker.
A question is coming across on some of that pricing specific. Is the price based on raw amount of data or compressed amount of data?
In our budget, we deal with the protected amount. In our full feature, we talk about compressed amount. We can get in more detail with that individual on that when it comes to pricing, but each of our services have slightly different measurement on what we're measuring in the way of volume. But the key thing is we measure it at the end of the calendar month. So throughout the month you might be peaking, and then it drops down towards the end of the month, and it's that end of month that we measure on.
Oh, interesting. Good.
Now one of the features, we're talking about some new software. Some of you might be familiar with this software. It's from a company called Asigra. Asigra's been around for 26 years. They precede the internet, but along came the internet, and they quickly migrated over. Asigra, perhaps not as well known as the other companies out there, but a good company that uses them quite well is a company called Hewlett-Packard. And their whole professional services group will offer the Asigra solution. We've been using it now for 15 years. One of the things, though, we want to introduce it to you as a reseller. We offer a 30-day trial for proof of concept, and included in that is not only the training of your technical people on how to use it, but we even offer services to your marketing, sales, development group to make certain that this is the product you want to take to market. And it's through this evaluation period that we want you to get comfortable with it and understand how it's going to drive revenue to your organization. And, we call it 30 days. If you need to take 45 days and, whatever it takes, but it's that comfort level to make certain that this is going to do the job for you that's most important to us. And we want you to take advantage of it. So now we've got another poll question, so I'll let Janine's
there we go.
pop it up on the screen there.
Yep. So again, what percentage of your current customers today do you actually provide backup recovery services? So it's definitely looking like an evergreen situation here. And I found that when I was talking to my folks that most of the time they're including it in their their managed offering, right? And sometimes they would say, okay, well it's an addition, but for the most part, it looks like almost 35% of folks are in the 81 to 100% range of current customers.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Good to hear.
Great. We have another question? Another poll? Oh, that was our question. Okay, sorry, you're still on the slide. Sorry. Hey, real quick, we do have a quick. Go to Amy's question. I think that's a good question. Not that the others aren't, but is this an image-based or file/folder backup? Are you going to get into that, or just want to make sure we don't?
It's file folder backup.
Okay.
We back up to the individual file. We do the initial backup of any file. We compress it, encrypt it. We even do deduplication, and we transmit, encrypt it, the smallest possible file across the internet, and put it into our data centers where it stays encrypted. We actually have a FIPS 142 certification, which the federal governments of Canada, the U.S. Recommend we use, and I won't go anywhere else from there. But anyways, you're well protected that way. And then once we do that initial backup, then we are doing incremental changes or delta changes, and depending on the file type, the file structure, it's file block changes or incrementals, but definitely we're trying to transmit the smallest possible amount of data over the internet that is required to maintain the backup set. And here's another feature with our software from Asigra is twofold. The deduplication, we also do deduplication back at the data center to continue to make as small as possible the quantity of data on our data center. And what that means is they're looking for, like, if that PDF document's been attached to 16 different emails, but the emails have been coming in on different days of the week, showing up in mailboxes for some reason, we're not going to still hold 16 different versions in our data center. We'll have the one image, and then we'll have stub pointers to all the 15 other images. So again, we're trying to condense it. But here's the other key thing that Asigra brings to the market is the autonomic healing, which is a tool whereby we're constantly confirming that the production data that we're backing up is in sync, or I guess it's the other way around. Our backup data is in sync with our production data. And our software is constantly doing this to confirm that should disaster strikes, what we have back here matches what the production was having. Some softwares don't do this. They only back it up once, do all the incremental changes, but don't recognize that maybe somehow the structure of the initial backup has been modified. And if they're not doing this autonomic healing, their data at time of restore might not match what it was currently in production.
A couple more questions on the product before we start getting too much into.
Yeah, I want to talk about my integration.
That's right. No, just one more. There's a couple of good ones though here though. So, how do you offer backup offering backup on hosted servers on Azure, as well as asking about VMware too? So maybe you could hit both of those at one time.
You said something before the word VMware. I just didn't pick that up.
Yeah. Both on the questions are the same. One is for Azure and one is specific to VMware. How does your offering backup hosted servers on Azure? Can it do it locally to other servers on Azure, as well as offsite to Azure servers hosted at a different location? And then just generally VMware, VMDK backups.
Okay, we actually have. I'll speak to VMware first. We have two solutions for VMware. We can back up the VMDK image and have that available for a restore, recreate of a server. We also have through VMware vCenter the ability to create a hot standby, either locally or back in our data center. We call that a remote VDR, whereby we can have that VMware instance replicated either locally in a hot standby format or in our remote data center. We can do the same thing. As to the Azure, we're not really, or I'm not personally experienced with it, so I wish I could talk some more. But again, if it's up in the cloud, hosted, and how you access it via your LAN and everything, we'd have to look at how we implement that. And I say I'm not experienced with it, but I have technical expertise that can help me in that area.
Okay, no worries. Let's get to the meat. Let's get to the thing that's mutually important for everybody on the phone, right? The common denominator being ConnectWise. So let's talk to that.
Yes, thank you. Okay, we all know backups, restores create lots of data. And this slide here is basically showing, in our case, what is happening with our backups through our tools, and you have access to these same tools. If you become a reseller of us, you can actually drill down and see this data into its rawest nature if you so desire, but usually it's formatted for the human eye. The key thing is this data is useful for managing, monitoring, and evaluating, analyzing. And so we took advantage of that. Asigra has great APIs that identify all the information, how we can access it, the tools to get to it. And that was important. We knew this back in 2010. We had this, accumulation of data over, at that time, our 10th year in existence. What could we do with it? How could we use it to, improve on what we offer to our clients? And we said, okay, we need to figure out how to feed this information in a way that makes it useful. So we spend a lot of time looking at the Asigra APIs, recognizing what we could do with it. And then, as I said earlier, we were introduced to ConnectWise, and it's through this relationship, and again, as I said earlier, the way the breadth of their APIs, the documentation, it was very important to us. And I've just popped up a slide that basically tells you how to get involved with their APIs. I hope you've looked at this. If not, take a look with it. Janine can help us with how to get to it. But the key thing is, very useful, well documented. To the point with we discovered with using ConnectWise, they use an XML structure on how they deliver data when we import data into ConnectWise, or should you export data out of ConnectWise? Again, I'm only going to talk about importing data into ConnectWise, but there's great value in what can even come out of ConnectWise. And that could be another whole subject one day. But the key thing is we use XML, an easy format, sort of self-documenting. If anybody wanted to read it, they could pretty well figure out what's going on there. And very easy to, as a format, to transfer data between disparate systems. And what I mean by disparate in this case, Asigra is a disparate system. ConnectWise is, in a way, a disparate system. But through the use of XML exchange, we're able to bring the data from one system to another. Again, very important to us when we did our integration.
I like the way you say again.
Again?
Again. Very Canadian.
Very Canadian. One of the things we like too about, and why we selected ConnectWise, was the ability to create these email templates, how to customize them, lay them out, how to bring in content, position it, how to use the colors, anything in effect to attract the attention of a reseller to say, hey, you got a problem here, knock, 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 and trying to do that through an email. So color formatting is always important. So I show one example here. We have 6 different messages, so here's another layout of another one of the 6 messages. And here's what we get in our service ticket. When we import one of our monitoring messages in. It actually creates a service ticket with our information. And it's down there in the bottom area that it's actually, again, the free format capability of the ConnectWise ticket system API that lets me import data free format. For us, again, very important. We wanted to lay this out in such a way that had meaning to our resellers, and so they could recognize what it was saying and format it in such a way. There's two parts to it too. There's a summary line in a ticket. Many of you who use the ticket system ConnectWise know this. If you're new to ConnectWise or just evaluating it, this is a great area where you put your summary in, sort of like your subject line in your email, and then here is your content, the rest of the email. So our prime message we like to send out is your data's not backing up. And we're being proactive in this. And when we started this back in 2011, when we got successfully producing these reports, we were surprised by the number of instances of not backing up. And it was quite, not discouraging, but, we recognize we have a problem out there. We got very proactive, started to contact our resellers, have them look at each of their clients, work with them. So what do we see today? This is very interesting. We have usually less than about, we've got 1,800, 2,000 messages going per day. We see about less than 20 per day going out with this message of your data's not backing up. But when we really look at them, most of it is laptops and those individuals taking a week's vacation. So we've taken it from a very, higher level of where many people were not backing up to now it's just basically identifying who's on vacation. So that's the value we've gained out of it, and our resellers have found that so valuable as well that they actually tell me that don't bug me when it's somebody on vacation. I know they're on vacation, or let's assume they're on vacation. Again, this slide we're showing basically with the different, we have our 6 different monitoring states. We have our different status conditions that we've programmed into the ConnectWise ticketing system to control each message, which email format goes out on which status. And if you're not familiar with this, give me a shout. I can show you how to do this. But as well, your ConnectWise support group is just as useful, and they'll help you along in this area as well.
Hey Dave, when tickets are created, are the tickets created based on unsuccessful backups and errors, or unsuccessful backups and errors occurring during backups, or just unsuccessful?
We actually do both.
Right.
We do on success and not backing up after several days. We usually check about 4 days from the last backup to the most current and says, hey, it should have happened. We also talk about, and we do this with our resellers, if you've just signed up a new client, about 10 days out after you've done the installation, we'll send you through the ConnectWise ticket system, a message to say, hey, here's how they look after 10 days. Looks pretty good, or perhaps there's an indication there that nothing's happening and you need to go back and work with your client and get them up and running. We also send one out at the end of 30 days. And then for many of our mature clients, meaning they've been with us several years or several months, every 30 days we send out a snapshot as well, saying here's what it looks like sort of mid-month with your backup sets at your clients, and again, just a snapshot.
Now,
Most of our resellers appreciate this. A couple of our resellers says, yeah, too much information, please remove me from that reporting system, which we do, but we also have many other reporting systems that are available with Storage Guardian, and they're utilized as well. But the bulk of our resellers love the ConnectWise and the reporting capabilities we've offered them.
Okay, one more follow-up question on that. If there are recurring tickets, right, and there's already an open ticket, does the integration do child or append the new information on an existing ticket, or child a new ticket, or does it create a brand new ticket each time?
We create a brand new ticket each time. Through our status, we actually leave some of the tickets. The majority of the tickets get closed. We report, let the email go out, and then we send a subsequent API command to close that. But the ones that are critical to us, meaning the not backing up or we recognize an issue, we'll leave those open so that, again, our support group have access to them and quickly can pull them up on their screen and see the history of messaging we've been sending to them.
Got it.
This slide I have up here now, basically, as I said earlier, we produce about 2,000 of these a day, and with our clients, and it's, you know, the ConnectWise system is robust enough to handle this. It, you know, it's telling us when what's going on in the output as well. We can sit and actually watch them coming in. As we create from our application through the APIs, we see each ticket system being created about every 20 seconds. You know, and if you sat there and watched the screen, it's quite interesting. So what I'm finally going to show you here is the person receiving this email would receive something like this. I showed you earlier in a slide what the ticket system within ConnectWise was showing us, but here's the result of a customized email that we put out. And I was saying, trying to, you know, hit somebody to take notice. Look at this email, because we all receive so many emails that we want to make certain that the email we send out, you know, hits them over the head to say there's something wrong. And it's through this unique customization that we, of the email template, that we take advantage of what ConnectWise can offer. So we've learned a lot from working with this integration with our monitoring, and we've got a current project underway of a new product, and we decided, why built into that product a complete notification monitoring tool? Why not leverage what we've learned with ConnectWise and utilize that? And that was one of our design decisions that said, you know, why build our own? We can leverage what we've got with ConnectWise, the knowledge we've gained with it. And as I say, we're working on a project now where we're reading data from a SQL database and reformatting that and feeding it in as a ticket into the ConnectWise system. And as people get to hear about this new product, it's still not published yet, but when it comes out, they're going to get the same benefit. They're going to have an email delivered to them on a daily basis to the status of what their particular clients that are utilizing this new tool are experiencing. So on this point, I'm going to pass it back to Alan. If there are any other questions, Alan and I are here. We can interact with any new questions that come in. But otherwise, here's Alan.
Thanks, Dave. That was a great presentation. So at this point, you know, just before we start taking questions, I'd like to make an exclusive offer to the ConnectWise community. And that is, we will provide branded proposals and SLA templates, as well as any other materials as they become available. We'll provide you with a branded series of 13 really slick flash animations that illustrate the features and functionality of our software. And of course, you can find that on our website right now. As well, we'll offer a SIGRA ConnectWise integration consulting services with today's presenter, Dave Minns. All of that absolutely free of charge. And really, all you got to do to take advantage of this is just go to the website that you see on the screen right now, the bit.ly website. As well, secondary to that is we're going to be taking part in the Automation Nation presentation in Orlando. We're really, really excited about that. Although the time of year is not the greatest, but that's okay. We'll take it anyways.
Hey, this is a little known fact, Alan, that the TripAdvisor has rated the pool at the Hilton Orlando Bonnet Creek as the #1 vacation pool in all of the land in North America. So what a great time to be at the pool in June. So there you go.
There is never a bad time to be at a pool.
That's right. That's
Never.
right.
Okay, so point taken. Point taken. So anyway, so we're going to be at the Automation Nation in June. So if you fill out the information on our website, it's just a couple little things: your name, email address, etc., and visit our booth at Automation Nation. We're going to give you a chance to win a brand new iPad Air as well. So we really, really hope to see all of you there, and bring your friends and bring your friends' families and bring everybody. Come see us. So with that, we're now open for questions. Go ahead, ask any question you want.
Right, so we had a couple we kind of passed through, and again, folks, a couple things. Actually, could you put the pod up on the, what we'd love to do for these folks, and every time anyone takes advantage of the ConnectWise APIs and does it so robustly, we salute them. So we do love that Storage Guardian has taken advantage of the APIs like they have. So if you'd like to hear more about their offering, please go ahead and hit yes on this pod right here, and we'll make sure that they reach out. But in the meantime, I think the actual presentation piece, right, is kind of over. We're going to roll through some questions if we didn't get to your question here. So number one, when we talk about that $50 for terabyte, that does apply to the locally stored information plus the offsite storage, or no?
That $50 is for local or offsite.
Okay, great.
With it.
Okay, and then what do you charge for your services? What do they charge for their service? I think we already got to that, so that's a sorry about that. Are there reports? Go ahead. Sorry,
Janine. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
yeah,
right.
That's something that we would like to talk to each individual on a case by case.
Okay.
I mean, we basically charge a certain amount, X dollars or X cents per compressed gigabyte, as Dave mentioned. But, we like to have a conversation with our customers and prospects prior, just so that we can get a better understanding and provide them with the most suitable service. So that's a question that typically depends.
Okay, and then let's skip to Dakota, because I think we answered this one from Ron here. So is there a possibility to do image-based backups for VHDs? And if so, would it compress white space? That is a very technical question.
Well, we definitely do Hyper-V backups with that, but I'd have to get an answer from our technical people to that level.
And as far as integration goes, do you also integrate with specifically any other RMMs or in addition to the PSA? Meaning, anything from an RMM perspective for deployment, monitoring, testing?
We have, actually with the RMMs, the CGRA software has they use SNMP trapping to feed those RMM solutions. And I know of some of them the RMM solutions already have that in their library to work with the CGRA. But definitely, if there's a requirement or a unique RMM that has yet to experience a CGRA, we're open to working with you.
Let's get to Jonathan's questions at the bottom there. Well, we don't care about this question, Jonathan. I'm kidding. I'm joking. It says we use LabTech, but have not implemented ConnectWise just yet. Soon you will see the light, and you will implement ConnectWise. Will your product work without ConnectWise implementation? I mean, it works. It just doesn't. It doesn't connect to ConnectWise, right? It's not the ticketing piece is the sort of the essential hub there, right?
That's
is that
correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually worked with the LabTech with our software, and at this time, it will monitor that the application's working. But when it comes down to the individual backup sets and the customization and the rules of what you've defined for that backup set, LabTech doesn't have those hooks to go to that level as well. So that's why, again, we use ConnectWise, because we know what we can do with the ConnectWise and to work at that level of hooking into each individual backup set and monitoring its activity, its scheduling.
Yeah, and I was just kidding. We love that everyone. So, and then this person mentioned VMware. What about MS Hyper-V? Jonathan Delmar wants to know. We talked about VMware.
Oh, yeah, we do Hyper-V as well.
Okay.
We use the feature called volume shadow copy, and we can actually back up the Hyper-V instance and restore or recover a Hyper-V instance as well.
If ticket creations are based off errors and a backup set occurs 3,000 errors for whatever reason, will it create 3,000 tickets into ConnectWise?
No. No, we actually, in our software, we analyze and look at all those errors and say, that's, a worst case of 3,000 inputs. We actually go through and recognize what is the most dominant error, if they're different errors, or what is the condition that's creating it, and we create the appropriate input into the ticket system.
Great. Do you handle VSS file locking? From Amy. Wants to know.
Yes,
this.
that's actually in any of the Windows implementations. We now utilize volume shadow copy, or VSS. Interestingly enough, I told you Asigra has been around for many years. Before VSS existed, Asigra had to write their own plugins to deal with Exchange, SQL, SharePoint, and so any 2003 server instances, or even some of the 2008, if volume shadow copy isn't implemented, we have a solution to handle those versions of operating system. But now, VSS is common in the 2012s, in Vista 7 and 8, and we utilize that wherever we can to deal with open and locked files.
Yes, great. And then one, is there a drive delivery service charge? I'm sorry, is there a drive delivery service available for large data sets?
Yes, that is actually, remember I said there's no hidden cost?
Yeah.
That's actually one of our other features we like to go with, in that your initial backup, and we apply this to continental North America, by the way, but that's the majority of our users. We will provide at no extra cost or no cost the portable drive, the courier fees there, and the courier fees back to get that initial seed back up. And should there be that disaster strikes and we have to put the bulk of the data onto a portable drive, we do the same thing. We'll courier it to you at no extra cost, get it to you. Our support desk, because it's a disaster, we're working with you 24/7, so we'll be working with you in the middle of the night if need be to get the data off of that and get you back up and running. And then we just naturally ask you to send back that drive at the end of that experience of recovering from a disaster at, again, our expense.
Great. Let's go to Jonathan's here. What is your customer support channel like? 24/7? Is it phone? Is it email? Chat-based?
Yes, yes, and yes. No, we have web chat. We have telephone support, email. We deal with Skype for the clients in other parts of the world. We are North American staffed, U.S. and Canada. We are typically, for general inquiries, Monday to Friday, 8 to 6 Eastern time zone. But we're 24/7 for disasters. So if you have that Sunday morning, 3 a.m. disaster, and you got to pick up the phone and say, help, you have a contact at our end, and it wakes up the appropriate people. Because I hate to say it, disasters are a rare commodity with us. I mean, I'm glad our resellers, when they implement, they make certain that's not going to happen either, because they don't like Sunday mornings at 3 o'clock.
What about bare metal to dissimilar hardware recovery?
That can be done within the conditions. You know, you can't take a 32-bit server and try to, well, you can take a 32-bit and replicate it on a 64, but it's tougher the other way. So there are some technical requirements for bare metal restore that have to be satisfied.
Okay, cool, great. One more last question, then we'll let you go. Do you have? Oh yeah, this is definitely a recorded session, right? You Yes, we have a record of this session will be up on the ConnectWise University within the next day or two under videos, so very easy to find. We're going to go ahead and respect our folks a time. We promised them an hour. We're at the hour mark. And again, I want to thank the guys at the folks at Storage Guardian for not only bringing a great innovative solution to the market, but also embracing the ConnectWise platform strategy through the APIs and the SDK. And we look forward to hearing more from you, and we appreciate your support. Thank you so much, guys.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you everybody for listening.
And we will see you guys soon. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we look to forward to continuing the conversation. Take care.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good night.